Right, this particular talk is about two things. The second part's an online presentation, but that is actually secondary to the most important part of this. Not the online presentation is the bad thing in itself, but I've been contacted by elders from the place where the oldest inland site in Australia, 46,000 years, was destroyed by Rio Tinto, and asked to write an article on their behalf. And it's just been completed and we're putting it out today. But along with that, I need to go back a bit to sort of give this story a bit of context. And what happened was about 4 years ago, Eddie McPhee, the same person who contacted me again, whose parents come from the land where all this has taken place, been there a long, long time, represents the place, that's all fine. He contacted me on behalf of others to come across to look at a place called Ganga Maya. Now it's a sacred cave and it's 41,000 years old at least. And second in line after that one, which is not far away, and this one was under threat. And guess what it was under threat of? Explosions and mining. Now it wasn't Rio Tinto this time, it was Atlas. And the deal was this. They got permission. You've got to understand something. Every mining company gets a lease on the place. They can blow anything up. Sacred sites. I can tell you now, Rio Tinto won't be going to court on this because it's legal. I know that Ken Wyatt, the Minister for Aboriginal Affairs, said he's really shocked by this, which he should be, and he said he's going to go and the Australian government are going to do something about it. They already have. They made it legal for him to do it, so I don't know what he's expecting to do about it because it's already been done. Now the point is this: Ganga Maya was in the same situation, Atlas Mining. And Eddie did the right thing. He got permission, all the elders got permission from me. I went across there, our own expense. Um, and we went on there. We went and saw the Atlas Mining in the front office. Got the second in charge to take us up there, and we wore hard hats and were given safety lessons before we went in because the cave itself is incredibly unstable, and they warned us about this, and we had to be careful. And they made it clear that if anything fell from above, that's cool. If I get hurt, I'm signed a disclaimer. So we get up there and we're shown around, and this guy's very open about it. And he's very open about something too. They have approval to explode to within 50 metres of this particular mine. Now the point is, they did 4 digs on this. I looked at the archaeology. 3 were cancelled. They couldn't get through them because so much fell from above. They just called off the digs because it was too much disturbance. And on the 4th one, they managed to get down to 41,000 and found evidence of human habitation. And I want to argue the point, which is quite weird. I want you to think about this for a second. One of the reasons why these sites seem to be disappearing, being destroyed, I'm not sure what the answer is. Either way, what's weird about this is that nobody at the moment um, seems to be able to protect them because this one, what they were saying was they were going to explode to within 50 metres. Now, we were standing there and I could see bits of the ceiling because the way it's formed, it's really odd. And there's a massive red deposit at the back, which is of iron ore, of course. And so the weird part was that he said, while we're standing there, he explained how dangerous it was and then told us at the same time that they were going to explode within 50 metres. And what we're all, it was obvious to everyone there, within 50 metres, the whole damn thing would fall over. It's on a tenuous link anyway, with all the exploding taking place around, but to go that close was ridiculous. So anyway, we thought the place was lost. So I wrote an article. It probably made a peripheral bit of difference and people used it, but you know what, Atlas Mining, we're going to do it anyway. And then the market fell away in iron ore. One of the times it has really a fair bit. Now this iron ore deposit that Atlas was using, they're all demountable sort of buildings, was the lowest grade, just making money out of it, hardly worth the trouble. Well, all of a sudden it dropped and they just walked away. It's not safe. They just walked away. Now, when the price gets better, they can come back and continue doing what they're doing. Now, what happened was, I thought it was a Seven Sisters site, by the way, one of this major Seven Sisters site, not the major one, because when I stood there with Eddie, he told me about another site. Anyway, about a week and a half ago, I get an email from an academic that sort of helps us indirectly, but remains anonymous, doesn't believe all the stuff we do, but still helps us a bit. And he said, "What's going on?" In the email, because there's been an explosion in one of the mines. And I thought, oh my God, they've done it, they've blown it up. Because he actually listed it and tried to get listed as a sacred site. Anyway, so what happened was I contacted Eddie, I sent an email, and within a half an hour he rang me, but he hadn't seen the email. He was ringing about the same thing. He wasn't sure at the time either what had happened. So anyhow, we did some research, we looked around, we found out, and I looked at the Sydney Morning Herald for a couple of days and worked out the full story as such as we know. It comes down to this. About 2 weeks before the explosion, their geologists announced publicly that they were going to explode there. I want you to understand this is just not a mistake. Secondly, the PKKP, I can't give you the proper original name, it's not written here right now, are the original group that they dealt with and said, Rio Tinto said, we want to work with these people. And they said it in all their comments. We really important. We work alongside them. We want to do the best we can. And we have an exemplary record. They went on and on about it. Well, guess what happened? They actually knew about this and they contacted Rio Tinto. They contacted him and said, we know you're blowing everything out. Can we please come and have a look? Can we sort this out straight away? Rio Tinto officially responded and told them this. Yeah, we are. It's too late. The charges are laid. We're blowing the place up. So they wouldn't let them on, and they blew it up. Now they're saying this is just an oversight. Then it gets worse. On the first day, they come back at the papers in the Sydney Morning Herald, which was not that they're great themselves or anything. That's as far as we went. It's the only people covering it. From that point on, what happened was we didn't get anything except one after the other. Changes in story. It started on the first day with, oh, we thought we had the right. We had an agreement, and it was a bit vague, but we thought it read the way it read. We seemed to think we had the right to do this. And that's what they were saying. And they sort of said, well, yeah, it's okay. We're allowed to do this. So they agreed to it. You'll find on the second day, there's a statement where they say, no, we tried to stop it. But on the second day, they changed it to, we've made a glitch. We've had a problem. Yes, it's legal, but I don't know how this all happened. But we're going to work with the people there, and we'll look at what we're doing elsewhere, and we might come to agreement. But don't worry, nothing to see here. We'll sort it out. Here's the problem: there's something to see here because every site in Australia is not protected. It's that simple. Every site in Australia is under the same conditions as these sites here, and that's really the issue. So what's happened is they've asked us to write an article, which we're putting up right now. And at the end of that article, there's an explanation. And there's also 11 other sites and relics we're dealing with. So they aren't recognised. And we're fighting for, oh, there is one other one that was recognised, fully recognised, called Cedar Creek. The government said, yeah, it's a sacred men's site. And do you know what they did? They're doing a Ganga Maya. Rob, he went to all the courts. He fought all the way along with a lot of other people, begging people not to blow the place up as a quarry because they know it's a sacred men's site. What the government and what the officials and what the impact study all said was, there's a line on the map. That's the actual site. But outside that line, go for it. Do what you want. It's all yours. Dig as much as you want. So lo and behold, what does that mean? It means that basically what they're doing all over the country is if they don't explode the site, which they can if they wish, they can show lip service by blowing anything up around bar the site, not understanding for 1 second in original law and spirituality, sites are interconnected by ley lines that pulsate in earth energy that never stops, and they are sacred. And when you cut the lines between sites, you cut ceremony. And when you blow everything around a site, when you come to a new site, a sacred site like that, you spend time outside doing ceremony, telling story before you get ready to go inside the cave. Just don't barge in. Well, you can't even do that now. They've blown everything up. What we're not sure about is whether they've actually blown up inside the cave and whether there's damage on the outside of the cave, which there is, or whether everything's trash. We don't know. But it's interesting, when they said they're sorry, let me explain what that sorry means. Number one, they won't be going to court. They know that. Number two, when they said they're sorry, they said they reviewed themselves. They never said anything about reparation. They never said they changed the situation where somebody could go on. And to this day, no one's been on there. No original people are still allowed to look at the damn site. So how is this different from Afghanistan when the Taliban blew up the Buddhist statues and everyone in the world says disgusting? Yeah, those statues were 4,000, 5,000 years old. These are 45. It's a sacred Seven Sisters dreaming site, just as sacred as the Buddha. In that respect, no different from an original viewpoint than the Buddha. 9 times older, the oldest site accredited in inland Australia anywhere, which should push back the date of habitation at least another 25,000 years, because every theory of Africans coming from elsewhere puts it to 20 to 30,000 years before they get inside to this area, and it was continual habitation from that point on. It's got so many levels to it, and it starts with we thought we had the right to blow it up, to secondly, oh my God, I don't know what happened, but we did blow it up. They knew weeks in advance. They were begged not to do it. The site had been accredited as such. It made no difference. They were going to do it anyway and take a little hit for a couple of days and then hope it all went away. So you've got a gentleman overseas that was strangled to death in 8.5 minutes and said he can't breathe. We can't breathe either. It's no different. Right, now the second part of this, and I'm not even sure if this is still working, but the second part, we'll leave that alone for a second. So we're doing an online conference, I think, next month. It's on about the June the 12th, I think. Yeah, it is. And we've got, again, it's the second part of our alien ancestry, what comes next. And we're doing 3, and the third part is all original. We're going to have about 12 original people over 2 days presenting this. It's going to be much bigger, and there'll be lots of different stuff, and there'll even be some music, and both traditional music with musicians, both ways, old way and new way. We're doing all that together. But this one up, again, is thematic, and it runs in an order. We're going to start with brand new stuff. I mean, it's still pinned around the same philosophy and prophecy of the 21st of December this year, when there's a massive change, and by God, there needs to be one. I mean, the ceremonies at Uluru, maybe they'll blow that up before the time. It's going to be at Uluru, but I don't know. If we blow this place up, maybe there's a law there in a statute on page 23 in a subsection somewhere where they can blow up Uluru. It seems like anything can be blown up here. But anyway, at that ceremony, we believe there's a massive change, and this is the second of 3 presentations about that. Each time we look at it in a different way, and each time it runs in order. And this time around, we're going to start again, and we're going to be looking at the prophecies that were given in stone monoliths throughout Australia. We look at the Stonehenge site that Frederick Slater, who was the president of the Australian Archaeological Society, called Australia's Stonehenge. He said it's the chronicle of the first language on the planet, the first temple on this planet, and it contains technology that doesn't fit. It's even difficult today. We're going to talk about that. We're going to go and continue the story of the site at Carry-On. Last time we introduced it, but I didn't speak about the meaning, which again talks about, as a standing stone site does, about beings coming here, to come from afar and bring things to this planet. It's the same story. We go through that time after time. And this time around, unlike the last one, completely different. We're looking at massive stone monoliths that beggar any technology that till 100 years ago and sometimes shouldn't be today. It's all over the place, and we're going to look at that. Now, the next speaker, Leah, she's going to pick up, last time she did our alien guest, this time she's going to look at it from a different point of view. In this change, and the reason why there has to be a change is because it's imploding. Our societies are imploding all over, and we've just made too much of a mess. And it happened once before when Atlantis fell apart. And Leah has a past life which is absolutely genuine, and she was there when it happened, and she needs to tell us that story because it fits in. We need to reach back into the history, into the past, to find out what happened before. And in that vein, the next one up, Barry Eaton. He's going to stay in the past, in other words, searching your own past life, going back into your past. The past that you bring, the incarnation after incarnation, is all about contacting with that and finding how that's going to be important, which it will in this prophecy of the future. Because unless you understand where you've come from, well, you're not part of the future. It's so important, and we'll explain why we've said that. And then what we do is we go to the next part. What comes next? We're trying to do both sides again before we finish off with the original story. And this time around, we brought in Mary Robble, whose work with contacting children who've been chosen by alien benefactors and colleagues and equals, chosen to be part of this future and often to guide us and to be mentors in what takes place and to be our future leaders. Everyone in the world knows about her work on that, and that's when she needs to come in because it fits into that story. So yeah, we're going to do that as well. I mean, I really apologize because we always put up two things together, the article we're doing plus the presentation. It's a bit crass to bring our work in after such a dreadful state of affairs in our own country. But this is actually an international insult. And it's obvious Rio Tinto flagrantly knew what they were doing. They say they're working with the group they signed with, the ones they nominated with, they said they were doing that. And it didn't happen. So, with this particular article we've put up, what I'd sort of ask is, did you read the article if you are going to read it? And if you think it's worthwhile, think of a comment and then write that comment on an email and send it to Ken Wyatt. Good luck with that. But Linda Burney from the Australian Labor Party, I know her personally, and I've got only good things to say about her. And she's the Minister for Aboriginal Affairs, as she should be, or shadow. She might do something. She does care. And she's made some statements. She's shocked. But maybe she's not fully aware. I'm probably sure she is, and she probably does know this, that it's legal. So something's got to change. Something massive. And there's got to be punishment for this. Anyway, that's coming soon enough, let's hope. And that's enough for now, and I'm not even sure if this is still working, but I'm going to try and end this up now. Okay.